Good afternoon, everybody. We are so happy to have you here joining us for our second District Community Advisory Committee of the school year. Before we go on, we want to go ahead and let you know that we have interpretation available for our guests today. So if you are joining us in Zoom, I'm going to ask you to look for the globe at the bottom of your screen, and you'll want to select, and this is for everybody, you'll want to select English if you want to hear the presentation in English. You'll want to select Spanish to hear the presentation in Spanish, or Khmer to hear the presentation in Khmer. And our recommendation is also to mute the original audio. That way you don't hear an echo or you don't hear any feedback maybe from any of the other channels. I'll allow Miss Marshall to go ahead and let us know what I said in Spanish.
Entonces, gracias por estar aquí, bienvenidos. Si usted necesita interpretación en español, por favor, trate de encontrar el globo en la parte baja de la pantalla. Escoja y seleccione Spanish, que viene siendo el español. Y si por favor también puede entonces oprimir Mute Original Audio, para que así nomás pueda escuchar la parte de español. Y yo voy a interpretar en el otro canal. Gracias.
Thank you, Miss Marshall. We'll give folks a couple of seconds to go ahead and find those buttons. So we're thankful to have Miss Marshall and Mr. Nev, who are going to be supporting us in Spanish and Khmer in Zoom. And then we're also extremely thankful to be live streaming on our district's YouTube channel in Spanish, Khmer, and ASL. So thank you, colleagues at Multimedia, and those of you interpreting for us live via YouTube. And so before we actually get started with our meeting, I want to acknowledge that we have guests in the room. We have new parent representatives and guardians in the room. And so before I dive right into our presentation, you're going to bear with me a little bit. I want to walk us through what our agenda looks like and some of the links that we typically send out to you ahead of our meeting. So I'm Carmen Hernandez. I'm from the Office of Equity, Engagement, and Partnerships, and I have the privilege and honor of leading our DCAC group this school year. And today I'm joined with various colleagues from our district. We have Michelle Tomasian and Keihao Fujikami from our Business Engagement and Strategic Partnerships Office. We have Rebecca Fast from our Parent University office, and we have Mr. George Tsai from our State and Federal Program Monitoring Office, or maybe he has a funner term for that office for us. And we also want to acknowledge that we have Dr. Camarino from our high school office, our assistant superintendent, and I see a couple of other parents and families that have joined us from various schools. So thank you for being here. Before we meet every week prior to us meeting, you will be sent the agenda and any other pertaining links, either through a parent view, a messenger, sometimes a text, sometimes your email. We want to make sure that you're prepared as you're joining us for this meeting. And so this is what our agenda looks like. And so it is found in 3 different languages. So if you scroll through the agenda, you will see it in English, and I'm going to do my best not to make anyone dizzy. If you keep scrolling down, we have it in Spanish. And if you keep scrolling down, for the sake of the characters and the continuity of the characters, we include our Khmer attachments here in PDF form, just again to keep all of those characters intact. Forgive me as I'm scrolling back up. All of these links and the attachments found in the agenda pertain specifically to that language. So this agenda that's all in English, all of the attachments would be in English, all of the attachments in the Spanish agenda would be in Spanish, and the attachment in the Khmer agenda would also be in Khmer. And so you obviously found the link, you joined us. Also here in our attendance would be our attendance link. And so sometimes in meetings, you add your first and your last name and the school that you're representing in the chat. And you can feel free to do that here if that's most comfortable for you. But we also provide a Google form for you to go ahead and open up. The link is found right there in the agenda. And you just download it and you let us know who you are and what school you're representing. And this is also in our 3 languages, in English, Spanish, and Khmer. And so again, right at the top of our attendance, or I'm sorry, of our agenda is our attendance link, which you would just go ahead and click on. Other items that you'll typically find on our agenda is our beginning and our opening welcome, and which we bring the meeting to order, which we approve the agenda, we approve any pertaining minutes. You also have access to the meeting presentation. So anything that's being shared today, you have the ability to view, and also in all 3 languages. So anytime I'm either referencing links or Angel Garcia posts links in the chat, if you happen to miss it, don't fret, because they're always found in this agenda. And also, if you're not able to join us live, if you're streaming via YouTube now, we also include different attachments there to be able to communicate with us and to be able to add your attendance. And so for those here in Zoom, the link for any feedback would also be found here. I just wanted to make sure I went over those aspects before we kept going. Any questions in regard to that? Okay, great. So I want to go ahead and present our agenda to us and see if we can have a motion to approve our agenda. In motioning to approve something, we want to go ahead and ask you to state your first and your last name and the school site that you're representing. So for the agenda, we'll ask for a motion to approve and then a second, and then we'll be able to move forward. Would we be able to have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
I'd like to make a motion. This is Malaya Tomalatai Coleman, Pacific Island Education Voyage founder. Would like to make a motion to approve the agenda as for today's meeting.
Much. Thank you. Do we have a second?
Hi, Grace Navarrete from Longfellow, second.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So we'll go ahead, and is there anyone that is not in agreement? Okay, so we'll go ahead and we will move forward with our agenda. We also have minutes that we want to approve. And so those were sent out to you ahead of time. They can also be found in the link to the agenda. And Angel has included them in our chat, or he will include them in our chat in just a quick second. So we can go ahead and review. What I can also do is, if you give me a second, I can pull those up for us right in here. And so typically what happens is we just review what was said during our last meeting. And if it looks accurate, then we go ahead and then we approve it as is. If it looks okay, but it maybe there was a misspelling, or maybe we left an item out, this would be the time that we would go ahead and voice that. And then we could approve with the recommended edits. So we'll take just a little bit of time to review those. You can either feel free to look on my screen, or you can click on them in your agenda. I'll scroll just a little bit for those of you reading on my screen. And if you are just joining us, please forgive me if I'm interrupting you reading the minutes, but if you just joined us and you would need language interpretation, please find the globe at the bottom of your screen and select either Spanish or Khmer. I would also suggest if you're an English speaker to go ahead and select English, and you would want to mute the original audio. Is there anyone ready to motion for the approval of our minutes as they are presented before you? And this could be any of our guests.
This is Malaya Pulaito Coleman, Pacific Island Education Voyage founder. Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you, Malaya. Do we have a second? And any of our guests, any of our parent representatives, feel free to unmute and you're welcome to second.
I'll second. Sorry. I'll second. Rebecca Fast from Parent University.
Thank you, Ms. Fast. No, not a problem. Any objections? Thank you. So our minutes are approved as recommended. So if you'll forgive me, I'm going to scroll back. And again, I wanted to state that we're so excited to have previous representatives from our sites, but we also have a lot of new families and a lot of new parents and guardians that are joining us today. And so I wanted to briefly go over the purpose for DCAC. What are our objectives? Why are we taking the time to meet this afternoon? And so we act as a liaison between the district and the schools. We want to make sure that we're promoting our parent and guardian participation at school sites. So we want to share pertinent information that will benefit both you and your child, and that you can go back and that you can share with fellow parents and guardians at the sites that you represent. And so we're disseminating information that's happening at our district and our various offices that you can go ahead and that you can share with parents. We want to provide access to training for parents in conjunction with what Parent University or what other offices are doing around the district. And we also want to be able to present recommendations to our Board of Education on any advisement specific to our Title I schools related to parental involvement. As a reminder, our norms when we're in this space together is to be present and minimize distractions. We want to go ahead and seek to understand diverse points of view. We all know that we can't always agree, but we are going to share the space that we create and assume positive intentions and being respectful of all that are in our space here together. Now, virtual meetings also have norms. And so in Zoom, we'll use the chat feature to share our thoughts or to share any links with you of additional materials that we would like to share. As we continue to become accustomed to using the attendance Google form, you can also go ahead and add your first and last name and the school that you represent in the chat as a way of keeping track of attendance. If you do have a question, feel free to raise your hand. After every presentation, we allow for time to ask questions of the presenter. And so you're welcome to unmute, raise your hand at that time, and that way we know that you have a thought, a comment, or a question that you'd like to share with us. We do ask, for the sake of not interrupting the person that is speaking or has the floor, that you would mute your mic unless you're speaking to us. And we invite you to keep your cameras on. We strive to be visible. We want to see your smiling faces, but we do know sometimes that can cause internet interruptions. And so if you feel that you need to turn your camera off, then you're welcome to do so as well. But we invite you to be in this space with us virtually. And so we are very excited to be able to have Michelle Tomasian and Keihao Fujikami joining us today. They come from the BE&SP office, which is the Business Engagement and Strategic Partnerships office. And they're here to share with us the exciting things that they've been doing with our students, our community, and our school sites. So welcome, Michelle and Keihao.
Thank you so much, Carmen, and thank you everyone for allowing us to be here today. It's really a privilege to be in this space with you, and we're super excited to share about our work and offer a space for you to ask us questions and share feedback. So my name is Michelle Tomasian, and I am the Administrator of Business Engagement and Strategic Partnerships. And I'll let my colleague.
Hi, everyone. My name is Keihao Fujikami. I'm the Business Development and Marketing Specialist for BE and SP. So our office works to connect LBUSD students to businesses and organizations through work-based learning opportunities. Essentially, we act as an intermediary between students and schools and our business partners to provide opportunities or coordinate opportunities like mock interviews, industry chats, guest speakers, and internships, amongst a few others that are listed there below. Next slide. I wanted to share that we have this website for students to apply for internships. So with internships, we just started a year-round program where we are offering fall internships that a few students that are placed currently, and then again in the spring, which they'll be open up. Those positions will open up in the early 2022. And then the majority of the internships are during the summer, in which we'll have positions open up as early as April, May for students to apply.
Thank you for sharing that, Keihao. And I want to shout out Keihao and our district's webmaster, Darren. They built that website. And really the purpose for that website is we realized that there are also internship programs and opportunities with the city of Long Beach. The port has a pretty big summer internship program. And so the thought was we would love to have a place, just a one hub where students, parents, guardians, staff can all go to see what internship opportunities are available at any time of the year. And as Keihao mentioned, it's pretty new that we're starting to develop opportunities during the school year as well. And, most of the positions are going to be in the summer simply because students have, there's more time and they can have a longer, more in-depth experience throughout the summer. So we're really excited to have that website. So please feel free to check. As Keihao mentioned, some of our posts for the spring season will be up in January or early 2022. And then for the summer positions, you'll probably want to start looking around April or May, because that's when the positions for the summer will open. So there will be various applications and processes for that. So one other piece of information that I did want to share about our office is that we're really new to the district. So the work that we do previously was being done at a nonprofit organization called Long Beach Call. And in 2019, the district decided that it could support Call's work better and more strategically in partnerships with our schools and students and families if it were a function of the school district. So it previously functioned as a nonprofit intermediary organization, and now we're essentially building programming and systems within the district so that we can strive to meet the needs of students. And to that end, we're, of course, our work, since it's internships and, career site visits and mock interviews, most of our programming is supported by businesses, nonprofit organizations, so volunteers in the community who commit their time and other resources to ensure that students know what are the different careers, what do I need to do in order to get to those careers. So for example, in health sciences, maybe I want to be a nurse, and then I can find out that, maybe I want to be a doctor. Or did you know that there are social workers in community positions that support hospitals? So really in essence, what we want to achieve is we want students to be able to know, one, what their options are, and two, what requirements, training, or education do they need in order to get the career of choice? So it's ultimately about informed decisions. We want to empower students and prepare them for life after high school. And so part of that work is really just aligning with the pathways that we offer at our high school sites, and then also thinking about, students have curiosities and wonderings about careers earlier than that. And so that's a perfect segue into what I want to talk more about, which is where we're headed. So as we build our team and our work here in the district, we are thinking a lot about equity. And as I mentioned, informed decisions. So we asked ourselves the questions: how do we ensure that all students have access to career-linked learning experiences? And how do we ensure that students have the opportunity to make informed decisions about their futures? And what that looks like is really saying, how can we provide experiences? So just asking that question, who are we missing, why, and how can we ensure that students are going to have access? So that kind of falls into this asset-based proactive approach that we're taking, which is, let's be thinking about how we can offer this to more students instead of having school sites ask us for, let's say, a guest speaker for their class, because what we were finding is some, the same teachers would be asking for support. So we want to make sure that we're looking at who's being missed and being proactive in ensuring that we can provide that. So that also looks like, our schools have school culture. We have different neighborhoods across Long Beach. So what we want to do is partner with our schools to better understand what those needs are. And we know staff who work directly with our students know their strengths, know their needs, know their dreams and aspirations of what careers they're interested in. And so part of our work moving forward is actually creating new positions. And Carmen, if you don't mind, next slide, please. Thank you. So we've been able to create a position called a business partnership specialist. And these are pilot positions. They just got approved, so we're still in the very early stages. There's no job description that's posted yet. It's still being processed, but we're hoping that will be up in the coming months. But essentially, these positions, there will be one at Jordan and one at Cabrillo, and their role is to really provide individualized support for students at those school sites. So thinking about, our roles here at the central office, Kehao and myself and our team member, Anetta, we're really going out in the community and asking businesses to support programs. But when we have these roles at the school sites, again, they're going to be able to inform us and ensure that we are leading with equity. Students are at the center of our work so that then we can go out and ask for what those needs are. So they will be essentially coordinating a lot of these activities at these school sites in partnership with pathway coordinators, school leaders, and so on. In addition to that, these roles will be supporting I mentioned earlier about middle school and students who are younger and wanting to learn more about, what their options are. So we think a lot about, the fact that we're now in this newly formed department of equity, engagement, and partnerships. And I know last month you all heard from the Choice Office. And so that's another area of collaboration that we're looking at. And we're saying, how can we help students see what these pathways are in a real world application? So that way they, again, can kind of get that exposure and be thinking more about informed decision making as they select what high school and what pathway they're going to be going to. So, and then at the high school level, once they're in those pathways and they're in aerospace engineering, what does that look like? What does an aerospace engineer do? Well, maybe we can take them on a field trip to relativity space and show them, right? So this is where, again, our role here at Central Office is to know, all right, the aerospace engineering teacher and students really want to have, a guest speaker or a mentorship program. So then we go out and then we try to find relativity space or another aerospace engineering company to help meet that need. So another component of this role is really thinking about internship awareness and recruitment. So as we mentioned, we do have that website. That was kind of step one of where we could just build this hub of where opportunities that we're developing internally, but also what other opportunities are out there in the community. How can we build this information hub? That's just part of it, right? What we also want to do is look at, and we have looked at data, right? And so we know we're missing a lot of students, and we know there's also, there are there's far higher demand for internships than there is opportunities or positions, right? That being said, we want to have someone at our school sites who can help students get that support, so that how can they have a stronger application? Or, I know this student is super passionate about community organizing and there's a nonprofit who's offering a social media or marketing internship. Let me go tell that student and let them know this is right. So it's really connecting. So there's a lot more to it, but I just want to be mindful of time and kind of wrap it up here. But we're really excited about the work that's ahead. And just appreciate, again, having the opportunity to share kind of what we're working on and, of course, where we're headed. So I'll go ahead and pause there. Lastly, sorry, I lied. One last thing. If you have questions or comments, I know that Carmen and everybody has a formal process for that, but we also just wanted to share our contact information with you should you ever want to reach out. And again, one of our colleagues, Annetta, she's not here today, but she's also a part of our team. So please feel free to reach out and let us know your thoughts and your questions. So thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle and Kehao. Thank you for the great work that you're doing, really K-12, right? With all of our students, or TK-12, with all of our students and families out there. We'll allow this time if we have any parents or any guests that would like to ask Michelle or Kehao any questions about their programs and the partnerships. Feel free to unmute.
I just want to know.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm a parent that's representing an elementary school, and I'm wondering how this can apply in that space.
Thank you for that question.
I was going to just share that we do have like a career day. So we brought in just last spring business partners that talked about their careers with elementary students, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. So it's not just internships. I know a lot of the presentations on internships, but bringing in guest speakers as well to talk about careers is another way to reach all students K-12.
And do you contact the principal, or does the principal reach out to this office to get something like that at our school?
It works both ways. So we have some partnerships with sites that will reach out to us, and then we'll meet and kind of discuss, what will work, and if we can get their buy-in to just help bring in the students, because that's where we're not able to do it. So it's a collaboration. So yeah, they can reach out to us, or we reach out to sites to coordinate events.
Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah. And I'm just going to add one other thing that, we do have some external programs. So NSBE, which is National Society for Black Engineers, we just last summer partnered with them on the SEEK program, which is a STEM program. It was virtual last year, but this summer it's actually going to be in person. And we have about 200 spots that they reserve just for us. And that's something that Boeing has partnered with NSBE on. So that's 3rd through 5th graders as well, if your children are interested in STEM. And then we also, depending on our capacity building moving forward, I definitely see opportunities where we can reach even elementary level and have some more structured programming. We're not quite there yet, but that's definitely something that we're looking at moving forward as we move towards our vision in the coming few years, and once we get our strategic plan in place. But that's definitely something that we're building out another kind of wing of our website that's like career programs, camps, and events. So that would be a place where we would host some of those opportunities as well.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. I think Malaya had a question.
Thank you for an opportunity. I just want to thank the young ladies for a beautiful presentation. Kudos to both of you. My question is, what are the qualifications for our students to participate in your program? And second, it was a comment. I just want to thank you for allowing it, because as Pacific Islanders, they focus on, as soon as you graduated from high school, they automatically place you into a workforce to support the family. So therefore, this is an amazing program. If you have something like this and invited the Pacific Islander students, I have a feeling they will grant it and very exciting into whatever career path that they are in passion with. Mahalo nui loa, whawhai te lava. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much
for your comments. In regards, there was a question in there that I wanted to address. I think your question was with our internship program and qualifications. Most of that is listed on that website, that webpage when we post the positions. But our target population are 11th grade students, 16-year-olds, and that could apply. But it's best to just review positions that are available and kind of follow those guidelines, because if we get external partnerships, it can range, especially as we kind of bring in external partnerships, like Michelle said, with like the city prosecutor's office or Port of Long Beach. So it varies.
Any other questions for Michelle or Kehao? Cynthia, yes. You have Cynthia Rueda?
Yes, hi. Is the program already being implemented in all high schools, or is it only certain high schools and middle schools?
Great question. So because the program was an external program before it came to the district, it was really just an internship program where students would apply, and then it would be upon request. So a teacher would contact CALL, which was the former name of the organization, and then we would work with them to build an opportunity. So moving forward, what we're really trying to do is scale. And so that is where we're starting small, and we're looking at Jordan and Cabrillo. So that's really I want to make sure that I share this in a way that makes sense, because I know I've kind of gone on a timeline here, but the hope and the vision is that we will be able to build some structured site-specific programming. So right now, our we're kind of set on building that out at Jordan and Cabrillo, but the idea is that that would support those feeder schools, right? So the neighboring middle schools, and then eventually, and like we talked about earlier, down the road, being able to say, let's build it into the elementary schools. So it's kind of a pilot in that we want to be able to make it applicable to the pathways at those school sites so that we can build in some of that structure. And then in the meantime, we're also going to be still supporting events, and it's kind of based on, you know, what in partnership, with our career pathways office. So it's not that we're just going to be supporting Jordan and Cabrillo, but that's the focus. And that's where we're really trying to build out something structured. So if there are requests for support, for example, from Poly Pal or from Wilson, we have a couple of mock interview events coming up in early 2022, which is something that we're working with them on. So that's kind of for lack of a better term, on a request basis. But the building out and having this vision around what does an equitable program look like, that's something we want to be able to scale up. And for example, offer all 7th graders, and this is aspirational, but every 7th grader is going to go on a career site tour before they go into the high school choice process. So hope that clarifies. So we're in the early stages, but that is the vision, and that's what we're hoping to achieve. And if that didn't answer your question, let me know.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Yes, thank you.
We have any more? I think, Malaya, do you have an additional question?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Michelle, with your program, in your website, do you have a section for elementary school, middle school, and high school?
We currently do not, because the only items that we're currently posting on the website are for internships. So that would primarily support high school level, but that's something that we do plan to build out for programs and events. But that's good feedback for us to be thinking about what that could look like by grade level, as opposed to just listing those experiences. So that will be something that we work on in the coming months.
Wonderful. The reason why I asked, because you know, in any event, a child's life is so important in elementary school, which is the foundation of their education, the foundation of everything when it comes to career path. Because either go through college readiness or go through career readiness, it always boils down to career path, a job, job, no matter what. So therefore, it's so important to have a different mindset of a child at elementary school to be prepared for a career path. And as something is so significant, I've been talking to the superintendent, Steinhauser, since 2008 about this concept. And I'm so thankful that it's in the district. Mahalo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing such an important topic, and feel free to visit us again once you have other updates to share with our group. So thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and take us back to our main presentation. I do see that we've had new folks join us, and so I did just want to say, if you need interpretation, please look for the globe at the bottom of your screen and then select the language that you would prefer to hear our presentation in. If you're an English speaker, I would also suggest that you select English and that you mute the original audio. That way you're not hearing any echo or any channels accidentally. So thank you again, Office of BE and SP, Business Engagement and Strategic Partnerships. We are going to move on to our next presenter, and that would be Rebecca Fast. You're all familiar with Ms. Fast. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being back.
Thank you so much for inviting me, especially to share this new endeavor that we're working on. So thank you, Carmen, for sharing. What in the Parent University, I hope that you are getting our Monday emails. Every Monday at 10 a.m., we send out an email talking about what's our upcoming workshops. It'll also have a link to some of our past workshops. So if you missed last week or the week before, you can always watch all of our videos in English, Spanish, and Khmer. They are posted on our website, and they're also available in that email. What we're working on right now, though, and I'm very excited that Carmen asked me to share, is an addition or a revamp of our district website. And so if you go to lbschools.net, as Carmen is showing right now, right on the front page, there's a button for Parent University. And when you click on that button, it takes you to our district page. And on our district page, you'll always see at the very top parent groups, and you'll always see a calendar. So if you want to know what workshops are happening or what meetings are happening in our district, you can always go to our page and see this calendar. And here you would see, for example, today's DCAC meeting. This evening, there is a Pacific Islander Education Voyage meeting at 6:30. And so all of the district meetings are listed there, and then the links are usually in there as well. So that's a good place to start. If you were to continue to go down on our page, we have some other workshops and some other links. This is the part, though, that we are revamping. Next week, when you log into our Parent University page, you will see a button that will take you to a Parent University, I don't know what to call it, a Parent and University update page or a new parent group page. So this is what we're working on, and it's still under construction. It hasn't gone live yet. It will go live on Monday. We're hoping, all systems, crossing our fingers that all systems move forward. And on this new page, you will see there's a button for all of our parent groups. So there's a button for our Coalition of Involved African American Parents. There's a button for DCAC, et cetera, all the way with our new parent meeting that's coming up, our new district superintendent meeting, our parent connection with Dr. Jill Baker, and a button for our Pacific Islander Education Voyage. It's in alphabetical order, so that's how they're arranged. And when you click on a button, so Carmen, if I could ask you, we'll choose DCAC for today. When you click on that button, it'll just take you directly to resources for that organization. So for here, you see just very simply, hopefully easy to access. That's what we're hoping to do, is we're hoping to make things easily accessible for our families. You see a schedule of the meetings. You want to click on that, perfect. And then here it takes you to the schedule and with the Zoom links for all of the DCAC meetings. And then when you click back, you'll be able to, perhaps see last week's or last month's. So you can see what was on the agenda for past meetings. Just a very simple, clean and easy way for parents to stay involved, to see what's out there, and to see what the parent groups are up to. So when you go back to the home page, I'll ask you just to quickly click on the PI button also for the Education Voyage, since they have their meeting tonight. And again, they have kind of their save the date. So the pages are a little bit different, but similar in the content, that they're going to have the past meeting agendas. They have the save the date. They even included on the bottom there some of their social media buttons. So each page might look a little bit different, but the robust content will be the same. It'll always have the meeting dates and agendas. We're hoping that this new page will be a one-stop shop for parents. And Carmen, if I could ask you to scroll down for just a moment. We'll also have a replica of that calendar over here. And if you'll see, if you look at the top, there's also links to past workshops. So remember I talked how if you missed a meeting, you can see the video in both English, Spanish, and Khmer. So that's where you'd be able to see the videos of meetings you may have missed. And so this will always be on our new page. And then down below are some parent resources. We're really excited about this part of it. What I did was I scoured our district website for things that I thought parents might need or want access to. A lot of the questions we get when parents call us, we tried to put all of the resources in one spot for parents. And so tech support with Canvas. We have some monthly self-care calendars. So maybe we can click on the self-care calendar that's put out by our family resource centers. So there's some social emotional supports for our parents. And if I can ask you to click back, sorry, Carmen, thank you. And then maybe if we scroll down, maybe community resources. A member of our team, Ms. Yolanda Huerta, has been putting together some community resources. So helping connect our parents to local jobs that are in our community, many jobs from Long Beach Unified, continuing education supports. We've had a parent workshop where you could watch our parent workshop on the Long Beach School for Adults. And then also a link of how to sign up for classes. They have everything from ESL to animal care classes. So we're compiling resources for parents, for the community, resources within Long Beach Unified. And if you scroll down, just one more thing I'm going to point out, Ms. Carmen, at the very bottom, if there's something that you still have a question about, if you're still wondering about something that you cannot find on our site, then please email us or call us. We will be happy to, if we don't know the answer, we're happy to track it down and help parents find the answer to that question and find the right resource specialist that might be able to help them out. So this is our page. Again, we're hoping to launch live on Monday. So when you click back on that button on our front page, it'll hopefully take you right to here.
Other than that, do you think it looks pretty good?
Are there any questions?
Thank you so much. We should have actually asked our media folks to cue a drum roll. It was an exciting, almost reveal there.
That will be exciting, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I do see a hand raised. So we have Cynthia Rueda. I don't know if you have a question. Feel free to unmute if you do.
No. Well, now hopefully you all know where to find us, right? We'll have that link there. If she thinks of her question next week, she can always log on to our page and find us that way. Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Coleman. Okay, well, we're excited to launch this. If you think of something that we are missing for our page, again, we're really hoping this can be a one-stop shop for parents. So if you're seeing something that we've forgotten, please let us know. We'd be happy to include it. That's really how this page has evolved, with parents contacting us looking for things. And so we put as many resources here as we can. So if there's something that we're missing, please feel free to shout out and let us know.
You're talking about the green icon.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Fast. And I can attest that it really has been a collaborative effort for us to really come together and put together a page that is just accessible for our families to be able to find everything in one page. A lot of times we hear, is it in the index? Is it in the A through Z index? Can it be found on the elementary page, the middle school page, the high school page? And so we've heard you, and we're doing our best to do a better job to have everything be accessible for you. And so we thank Ms. Fast and the team at Parent University for collaborating and putting this together. Any other questions before we move on pertaining to our new Canvas page that we're hoping is revealed this coming Monday? No? Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, no, for sure.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so our next portion is we welcome Mr. George Tsai. And so I just wanted to show a couple of graphics before we turn the time over to him. And so we shared with you in our agenda prior to today's meeting our district's parent involvement policy. I've also linked that here in the presentation that's been shared with you. And so where would you happen to find it? You say, if I'm not here, if I want to peruse it later on my own, you would go to our district webpage. Under offices, you would go to Board of Education. And to the right of that, you can go directly to Board Docs. When you click on that link, it's going to take you to an icon that looks something like this, and then a main page here. Okay, what you'll do is it'll take you to policies. And when you click on that, it will take you to our parent involvement policy. And what's nice about the Board Docs site is that you can go ahead and right click on things that are present there, and it will translate the item for you. Sometimes not everything is readily available in different languages. If you ever do need anything, feel free to reach out to us and we will get that for you. But for now, our parent involvement policy is there, shared with you, and I'm happy to give the floor to Mr. Tsai. So welcome, George.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez, and thank you everyone for being here. I think by you being part of DCAC, you are already involved as a parent, so hopefully you're seeing the benefits of that as well. For this particular section, I wanted to talk about the district's parent involvement policy, but also a little bit of why and some of the details before that. So Carmen, do you mind going to the next slide? I think there was one right before it. Oh, there it is. I think slide 2, there you go, thank you. Probably the benefits to you about parent involvement are obvious. There's obviously the academic achievement part of it, where you can help ensure your child's academic success. But there are a number of other benefits as well. So you can see here that Public School Review has listed off a couple of other benefits too. They help with a student's behavior and attitude towards school. Most parents get involved at the beginning or early stages of a child and then, tapered off at the end, but there's benefits to staying involved throughout the child's education. At the upper grades, students will possibly persevere or want to stay in school with your help and your involvement. There's the training and education that comes along with parent involvement. There could be not only just the benefits to the child, but the parent can benefit as well, learning some skill sets to parenting or to education or communication that can really assist the parent as well. And by you being involved, that will lift the teacher morale. There's a sense of trust and building that relationship where it definitely seems like a partnership between home and with school. For the next one, how do we help parents get involved as a district or a school? Well, we had talked about the training and the education. I think Rebecca had a great demonstration of some of the things that Parent University is offering to assist parents and families. How can parents get involved if they have a disagreement, or how can they get involved if they want some leadership opportunities or some way of affecting policy? So those are things that a district or school should do to educate parents. They should also provide times and opportunities where it works with a parent's busy schedule. The communication needs to be in a language that parents understand, and it needs to address relevant topics. Thank you, Carmen. You can go to the next one. To assist with that, there are requirements that districts and schools need to follow. There is a parent and family engagement policy where parents should be able to take part in that, review it on an annual basis, and just make sure that it meets their standards or the expectations of getting parents involved in education as well. Out of the federal funds that are received, districts need to reserve some of that funding for parent training and for education. They need to work with the staff on the importance of parent involvement and provide some resources or strategies to assist with that. With the training and education, make sure that they're building parent capacity to not only help with the student, but also figure out how the families can get involved and have a voice as well. And to make sure that content is accessible. So, multimedia, there's, for example, phone or email or in person when we're allowed to have in person, and then also in a language that families can understand. So with that, with the help of past parent groups, the board has adopted a policy that is called the Parent Involvement Policy in Title I Funded Schools. So this slide deck has a link. If you click on that BP 6020.1, that does have the actual verbiage and takes you to the place that Carmen was just sharing with you of how to access. Again, if you want it in a different language, you can right click on that and have that translated to a language. Hopefully that will work for you. Let's go to here. So there is a lot of verbiage and details. I did try to summarize it for you in these 6 categories. What it encompasses is it does cover parent voice and participation. how can parents be part of advisory groups or decision-making bodies? How can they advocate for the child's education, or if they have a disagreement, where can they air those concerns? That's detailed in the board policy. There's also the reservation of parent involvement funds. So out of the amount that we receive from the federal government, our Title I Part A funds, 1% of that is reserved for specifically parent involvement. So 95% of that allocation is then distributed to the school sites for their school site councils or their ELAC to take part in how they feel would parent involvement could best be spent at their sites. The other allocations would be for example, like the district initiatives. Just the example of Parent University was a great one of how a district level parent involvement program it could look like. There's the education and training, making it relevant for parents, education also to the staff on the importance of parent involvement and possibly some professional development. For the schools that have at least 15% of students with a primary language other than English, for example, Spanish, for example, once it reaches that 15% threshold, schools are required to translate their communication in that language. For example, their letters home or any announcements or notifications. The board policy also details the resources and services that districts and schools should be providing, and to encourage that partnership between home and school as well. So I know it was a lot of information, but what hopefully you had a chance to do was, if you were able to look at that board policy beforehand, it did cover these areas. We are asking at this point that you take part in this annual review and just an evaluation of the current parent involvement policy, just to make sure that it is improving the academic quality of schools, and that the family involvement that they talk about is addressing the barriers of student achievement. So you can either look it over and determine that the policy is sufficient in terms of addressing the parent involvement needs, or you could look at it and vote to make recommendations to revise the policy. So that's what I have. Carmen, I think that was just the last slide there.
Yes.
That talks about the recommendation or the request right now.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Tsai. And so in bringing this to us, if you recall the objectives of DCAC, right? A lot of these have to do with your involvement and your feedback, and specific to our Title I school sites and how they are being supported. And so these are the recommendations that currently exist. And so Mr. Tsai is presenting to us whether we would want to take an action now and accept the parent involvement policy as is, or if there are any recommendations that would like to be made, they can be added to the link that we have for questions and concerns. Or they can be discussed now. We have allotted some time to be able to ask any questions or any clarifications needed. So we'll allow that time now.
If it's okay with you, I'll go ahead and put the link to the board policy in case people weren't able to access that.
Thank you.
It's gonna take a minute though.
Give folks a couple of minutes to peruse through if they'd like. And then Mr. Sai, are you recommending that if we see the policy and want to approve it as is, that we would take action and vote as well?
Yes, if DCAC members feel that they are ready to move forward, that is the next recommended step.
I do see a hand. Malaya, please unmute.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sai. I just want to know how often the policy needs to be evaluated and do recommendations for it.
Right. Thank you for the question. It is an annual review, and it is presented to the various parent groups, including DCAC.
Do we need to present this to the Pacific Island Education Voyage?
I believe it's particularly DCAC and DLAC that I present this to. I can go ahead and double check if there's other groups that need to be involved.
Thank you.
Any other questions or clarifications? And in case I don't see your hand raised, feel free to go ahead and unmute. You do have a question or a clarification. Are there any DCAC representatives that feel inclined to take action and recommend our parent involvement policy as it stands? And so we could go ahead and approve if anyone feels inclined to do so. Malaya, did you have an additional question before we move forward?
Yes, I just want to know, what are the ones that we have? Did we have any recommendations from last year? And what are the action have been taken, or what are the adjustment or addition to those policies, or did we do anything from last year's in comparison to this year?
To my knowledge, Malaya, we did not do make any additions to it from last year at all. And so I believe Mr. Suarez is on the call. And so if Mr. Suarez has anything to add, he's welcome to do so.
Yeah, that is correct. Last year, there were no recommendations for additions. I believe that this is that the adopted last revised when we made revisions was in 2017. I think we made several additions. I believe it was 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 that we added in 2017. But as Mr. Sai said, it is not required that additions or revisions are made every year. What is required is to take a look at it and review it every year. However, that said, you can make revisions yearly if necessary.
Thank you, Mr. Suarez. And if you do go on the actual policy, it does tell us the revision date, and it was, as Mr. Suarez stated, December 6, 2017. Do we have any other questions, or does anyone feel inclined to motion that we approve? If it's something that we would like to bring back and to our next month's meeting, that's definitely something that can be recommended, and then we would reevaluate it then and see if we're ready to make a motion then. Malaya, I see a hand raised.
Yes, when is the deadline to submit the policy?
Oh, that's a good question. Mr. Sai or Mr. Suarez, would you happen to know the answer to that?
Yeah, there is no deadline. It's a yearly requirement to review. So Having said that, though, we are coming up on a compliance review that's coming in March. It would be preferable that something is approved by then. But there is no like hard and fast deadline. It's the law says an annual review.
Thank you for clarifying. Cynthia Rueda, you have your hand raised.
Yes, hi. Is there anything being implemented now on this policy? Because I know you guys want parent involvement, but right now the school sites can't have the parents. So how are they inviting the parents to be involved?
Thank you. It is the beginning of the year. I have seen some schools have made attempts, or they have tried virtual opportunities to get parents involved as well. So I've seen the notifications and announcements of various workshops or informational nights to work with parents.
Thank you for your question, Ms. Rueda. And so my sense, Mr. Sai and Mr. Suarez, you can let me know if you feel the same sense, is that we would allow our parents to go ahead and take a look at this policy, and then maybe we can recommend it in November. And so that allows them a month to be able to go ahead and look at the information shared in this presentation, the links shared in the actual policy, and then we can go ahead and table it and take an action for November's meeting. Does that sound reasonable?
Yes, that sounds fine. So okay. We will see you next month.
Yes, we're welcoming you back every month. Thank you. Do we have any additional questions for Mr. Sai? Let me see if I think Ms. Fast is still here. Michelle Tomasian is still here. So any questions for any of our guests that were here? Any clarity that any of our parents would like on anything that was discussed today? You're welcome to unmute and share that with us now. Let's say, though, that later on in the day, tomorrow, next week, you think of a question that you wanted clarified, you think of something that you wanted us to address. In our agenda, there's a link here for public comments. You can always click on that. We keep that open at all times, and you can always submit this way. And if it's something that you would like for us to reach back out and respond to you individually, then you can provide a phone number where we can reach you, and we'll be happy to do so. Whether it's something that I respond to you or we find the answer for you in another office, that's the way that we would be happy to respond if there aren't any comments now. But if there are comments in relation to anything that we covered on the agenda, now would be the time to go ahead and discuss.
I just want to thank all the presenters for a beautiful, informative presentation. Mr. Sai, I have a great question for you. Do you have policy due to the pandemic, COVID-19? Do you have certain policies that for parents on that subject matter?
Can you clarify particularly what you're looking for in terms of how they can get involved, or what are some of the conditions of parent involvement at sites?
Well, we're not in the norms, and when something happened, I would like to have certain policies already set aside for parents. Like, for example, some schools, they won't allow the VIP parents to attend or to visit the school and help out their students and so forth. That's not, is that something you need to add in the policy, or something that's, I don't know. I'm just asking. I'm throwing questions there.
Thank you. I know we do have a task force that is involved with health and safety. So they would work in conjunction with the Long Beach Health Department and just make sure, we are able to do what we're allowed to do. So I don't know if it's particularly like policy, but it is definitely something that is being monitored and discussed on a regular basis.
Thank you for that. Any other questions that we would like to ask our presenters? Anything that you'd like for us to consider in regard to the agenda and the topics that were discussed today? Okay, well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy days and joining us. I'm so happy to see familiar faces from last school year, new names, new folks. And so at this time, if you want to go ahead and show us your smiling faces, we'll greet one another. If you haven't posted your name, first and last name in our chat and the site that you represent, make sure you do that, or you can always add it in the attendance link. If you have questions, don't forget to reach out in that link, and we'll stay on just a few more minutes to see if we can clarify anything for you. But thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Camarino. Thank you, interpreters here and YouTube. Thank you, multimedia. We will see you next month. Thank you so much.